Namaste. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome. So happy to have you here today on my Friday Tarot chat. I thought that I would dive into a more recent tarot tag called Tarot to the Extremes by Marlena. And there have been some amazing BRs so far, and I have put a few of them below. I just happened to see Meg's this morning. Meg, who is Rose Honey Ritual. And yeah, so it's just a really fun tag. And some of these particular comparisons, I think they're really good for, not so much for choosing a deck for the day, but for looking at your decks in a new light. And I think of all of the reasons for doing some of these tarot tags is exactly that, to look at your decks that you have from a different point of view. And I have to say, what this has spurred for me is, and I'm hoping I will come back on today, I am going to do, I'm planning a decks that I'm coveting video. And then at the end of that, I will put up some decks that I have for trade. Okay, so that's what's coming up. So welcome to those of you that are strolling on in, and I look forward to today's chat, and please join in the conversation. And if you like the conversation, as always, like and subscribe. I've got lots of great stuff going on my channel. So, and also, totally approachable by email and so forth as well through my website. So let me know how I can be of service to you. So hello, good afternoon to Patricia and Donna. Lovely to have you here. Great to be here. Yes, I feel the same, exactly the same. So instead of Donna, instead of a culling video, I just there's this is funny because as I was watching other people, Julie, Peekaboo Rose, Stephanie, Mixtress Ray, Marlena herself, there's a few decks that came to mind, and I'm really kind of intrigued with some other decks that I haven't had in my hands. And one of the things that I have found is that it's really hard to make a decision about a deck unless it's actually in hand. And that, unfortunately, is an expensive process, which I have learned all too well. Yeah. Okay. So who else is here? Julia's here. Namaste. Welcome to you, Julia. And I saw Janine is here as well, too. I have my notes here. I should have made little banners, but let's just start with the first one. So the first, yes, Donna, lots of money, haven't we all? Patricia, of course you can ask a question. Yeah, shoot, go ahead. I'm always open to questions. That is absolutely no problem. So what I am going to start with are minimalist decks. So the first contrast is minimalist versus maximist. So there's a level of simplicity and complexity. I feel as if that is it's quite an arbitrary term, but I want to share with you a deck that I haven't seen very much on YouTube that I first saw on Kash's channel, who Tarot Met. And this is, hello to Dee, namaste, welcome Michelle as well. This is called the Essential Tarot. It is a low Scarabeo deck. And there's something kind of special about this little minimal deck. Let me just zoom in here a little bit. Okay. So one of the things, so there is your High Priestess, your Hierophant, and then actually that doesn't work at all. I was looking for a matching of the elements because the Hierophant is associated with earth. I thought it was more matchy than that. There is the Four of Cups. Okay, my bad. I thought that the element of the majors matched in the color in the window. Anyway, there's something about the simplicity of this deck that makes it, I don't know. I'm very intrigued with it. I purchased it just for kind of those days where you are dialing it down, and you don't need anything too busy. And sometimes I find a lot of these tarot decks really, really busy. And yeah, so this is the box here. It's called The Essential Tarot by Pablo Monti. I am a little perplexed. I had done, okay, so I need to go back because there is some rhyme or reason for the colors. Oh, I know what it is. It's a numerological thing. So all of the aces are pink. That's what it is. Numerologically, it all matches up. That's what it is. Okay. There we go. So that's the Essential Tarot. It is a Rose Scarabeo deck. And yeah, I really, there's something about its minimalism that really works for me. And I think that is a plus if you are not comfortable with, some pip decks, or if you're working with the Tarot de Marseille, don't always work for everyone. And, of course, I'm going to show more than one for each category because that's just what I do. All right, I'm just laughing at some of your comments. Now, oddly, so let's just go. So this is White Sage. I no longer have the indie version. I think the minimalism of the minors in this deck, even to some degree, the major arcana, speaks volumes. And while this is a minimal deck, I certainly wouldn't call it a simple deck because there are a lot of associations that I really feel you need some familiarity with to understand where you're going with it, because what is built into this particular deck are chakra associations. Yeah, and so for the Judgment card, we just get a light bulb, right? So you need to be able to work with this level of minimalism, right? If you're familiar. Now, the scarab beetle could also work very much for the Judgment card. This is not a deck I pull out very often. I was using it for yoga teacher training. And this is an odd one because here I see the tower in water, and the tower being associated with Mars doesn't really fit there. There's the Justice card, the heart being weighed against the feather. So there's the sense of minimalism in this deck might really work for others. I was also thinking the Spacious might be considered a minimalism deck in that way. We get out of the people, and I think sometimes the people in the tarot get in the way, as do the animals. Now, I think it's also kind of interesting if we share other decks that haven't been shown on other channels. So I'm going to do my best not to repeat decks that have been shown on other channels. So in this maximalism category, I was kind of intrigued with some of the decks that people shared, because a lot of them were collage decks. And to tell you the truth, I'm not really crazy about collage decks. So the reason that I'm including this one here is because in a lot of the cards, it really does have that sense of there's so much work to do. I remember when I first got it and I was looking at this particular mask and doing the research about, I Googled a turquoise mosaic mask, and I was doing some research into that. And I find that this is So here we have a torch in the right hand of the King of Wands, and then there's a lamp overhead. So there's a lot of symbols in these cards that are kind of fun to work with. And it's not every single card. I'll see if I can find you the Chariot. The Chariot's a really cool card in this deck. So I think maximalism, not every card, but I just wanted to point this out in case you hadn't considered a deeper adventure with this particular deck. So in the Chariot card, there's the whole idea. So the books that are in the basket, the fact that it's a chair. She also has a flashlight that she's holding in her right hand. We have in this deck a lot of fire in the background. So I think that is definitely symbolic of the departure, and I really like the way that's done. We also have stuff going on down here, and we have 3 stages of the Luna moth, if this is Luna. So I thought this is one deck that it's kind of fun to dive into its maximalism. And I've shown this deck quite a few times on my channel. This is the Chamonix Tarot. And the reason that I would consider this a maximal deck are because of its, so this is a favorite card. So this is a kind of a dissected version of the High Priestess, and we're looking at her rib cage here. There's these really cool associations among different characters in the tarot. One day I will do a deep dive with this on my channel. And also then there's this other layer of story that is built in. And so we meet these characters in the court card. So I in the court cards, and what Eden Gallanter has done with the stories in the minor suits, especially 2 of the suits, is to really start to ask some hard questions. And in some ways, I would also be able to put this in another category as well too. So in the maximalist category, of course, Spirit Keepers, I know, which Julie mentioned that one, I would totally agree with. There's a few that have a lot of symbolism going on. And I think my version of the Rosetta Tarot that has the that doesn't have the words in English, I mean, that's a whole other thing, right? When you're reading the symbols as well too. Okay, so the next category was daytime versus nighttime. And I have a couple things that funny things that was it funny? It's a reality situation for me. Anyway, let's, so this particular deck, so this is the Anna Kay, this is the self-published version. Her decks, I feel like if I couldn't read these decks at night. I absolutely have to read these decks at day because there are a lot of them where the scenes, there's a lot going on in the scenery, and in the dim light, you cannot, or at least I can't see all of the details. And so this is a deck that I only ever read in bright light. I don't even read it in the tarot room at the store because of the poor lighting, which I actually like. It creates kind of a mood. So I think this is for a very different reason. This is a daytime deck for me. And I also think because, I mean, there's a lot of brightness, but the contrast between, you can see there's a lot of nighttime cards here. And again, I cannot see them. So I would consider, for me, this is a daytime deck. And one of the most beautiful, this whole nighttime deck thing. So I've never thought about decks as daytime and nighttime before. But this, for a perspective of the evening, I find that the Lily Black Tarot really, oh my God, this deck just illuminates the Lily White in a completely different way. And through the perspective of the nighttime, the black, oh my God, and the black core in this deck is just gorgeous as well too. We see something very different going on. And this is not an exact copy of the other deck as well too. I think one of my favorite cards is that, oh, this one is absolutely, like, look at the Six of Swords, the way the door in the distance is illuminated. And you don't get that. You do not get that effect in the Lily White Tarot. So as a nighttime deck, a perspective of nighttime, also this is the transformation card, the 20th Arcana. This is, hi Hannah, welcome. I'm still looking for my blue jean guy because my blue jean guy is just absolutely stellar. I really like this. I really like this. So for example, here's a card. I really prefer this in the Lily White, that one. Let's go to Mr. Blue Jeans. There are certain cards that I think are better. And I never really thought about picking my favorites from Lily White and my favorites from Lily Black and blending the deck. But Mr. Blue Jeans here, Hanged Man, I really like him as well too in this particular iteration of the deck. The Fool, I don't know if I've gone past it, is a great card as well too in this one. There's just something magical that is highlighted. Look at those colors. It's almost three-dimensional. So I'm going to go back to some of your comments. Okay, so where am I at here? I see Julia. So Julia, I don't have this deck, so I'm hoping someone else has responded to this. D. Oh, thank you for that, D. Thanks for chiming in here. All right. If you do have any questions, please tag me and or put it in caps, and I will be sure to respond. Okay. So that is nighttime, and I have another deck that I find absolutely charming. This is the Russian version of the deck, and so the Russian version is not a, what do you call it? Counterfeit, fake copy. It's actually a legit copy, but to me, there's something about the light, the daylight in this deck, and I absolutely love the light. It's just so very bright. It's just so very bright. This is the Victorian Fairy Tarot. I have it in French and Russian. And to tell you the truth, the Russian version has bumped the color a little bit. And so I really like it. It's a fun deck. And I'm just going to make sure the Suit of Summer. That star card is lovely. My favorite suit is the Suit of Summer. It's the Suit of Water. Oh, and this Fool, look at the light in the Fool card. This is the only card with a human in it, and the human is running towards, or he's following the fairies. And then the rest of the deck is all they. But yeah, so the Suit of Water is all like in the river, and there's one where the kids are playing in the river, and it's just beautiful. It's just magical. And then we get the frozen river. So this particular deck puts swords at winter, and the seasons are built into this deck. It's kind of fun. Yeah, so that was daytime and nighttime. Daytime and nighttime. So let's I really actually liked it. One of the people who were presenting put the cards side by side. So sorry, I didn't do it with the last one. So that's my daytime and my nighttime. Yeah, it just it's got a really different energy. Okay. All right. So the next one is a huge category, and I have a bazillion decks on the table. I mean, confronting. There's a lot of confronting tarot decks out there, and confronting is contrasted with comforting. Confronting and comforting. Actually, I'm going to leave this one out for possibly best shuffle. I'm going to do a little comparison. So for confronting, I had the Hush Tarot. It's kind of my nemesis deck, and that's still in my shelf over there. Haven't given that up yet. If you don't know me, you don't know why I'm saying that. The Guardian Tarot. The Guardian Tarot is definitely confronting. Where is my confronting pile? Probably under my book. All right. Different reasons. I have quite a few decks here for confronting. I have, and this is different from shadow. There is a shadow and light category. And to me, what I can feel, so this is Dust to Onyx. This is the larger version. I don't know. This deck really, it's hard for me to describe. I absolutely love the court cards in this deck. That's why I'm showing you a bunch of them. The Five of Pentacles. I can't tell you what, I don't know. There's just something about this deck that from the moment I had it in hand, and it's another one I hummed and hawed and hummed and hawed. And when I have this out and I'm working with it, which I'm not currently, I just feel like it's not afraid. It's not afraid to go where it needs to go. So I find this deck quite confronting. And I love the backstories that are built into all the cards. The guidebook is excellent for this deck. I want to say it's not an easy deck to read intuitively. Like the Fool is, I find, is a very confronting card just because of sacrificial lambs, sacrificial goats. I mean, I've been in India so many times where, I've actually seen this firsthand at the temple and so forth. And I have a hard time with that. And so there's a few images in this deck that I find very confronting. The one I already showed you, so I would consider the Cheminette a confronting deck as well too. And I have another one that I would like to New Era Elements. I didn't pull that out. That is definitely a confronting deck for me. A few cards, not all of the cards, of course. And sometimes I feel like I pull out a confronting deck. This is the Urban Tarot. This is the Urban Tarot. Now there's a few cards in here that just really so the Knight of Cups is called the Seducer. And here is the Four of Cups, right? This is called Luxury. It's a Thoth-based deck, of course. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of confronting. And I think that this particular keyword, debauch or debauchery, it's a challenging one. There's the Devil. I know for a lot of people, I'll show you which one it is. This is a very clever mage card. This is based in New York City. There's some cards I really, really like. I love the Temperance, the art card. It's beautiful. There's not every single card is confronting, but it does have numerous. So the 10 of Fire. I know this deck has ruffled a lot of people in different ways. And yeah. So I would consider this a confronting deck. And while there are some fabulous cards, like this is an absolutely fabulous Eight of Wands. Yeah, I would put this into the confronting pile for sure. Okay. All right. So thank you to the mods for taking care of the people who are looking for readings. So Mr. Joy, sorry, I'm not doing readings today. You're welcome. You're welcome to ask questions about any of the decks that I'm using. So comforting decks. Well, you know, if I want to be comforted, I'm going to, of course, pull out Lily White, which you've seen a bazillion times on my channel. I showed you the black version of the deck earlier for the nighttime. But, you know, this is a deck that I know it so well. And I also love the artwork. So for me, this is a very comforting deck, but I thought I would show you a couple others. And I recently showed this one on my channel, and I don't know what it is. I think it just has to do with my childhood. This is the Vanessa Tarot. And I don't know, it just reminds me of a simpler time. And yes, the women in this deck have little tiny waists and so forth, but I think it's funny. I like its humor and so forth. Yeah, so for me, part of comforting is a sense of humor that I appreciate. Isn't that funny? Because sometimes a sense of humor really makes me uncomfortable, and it's this fits my sense of humor. I like this very much. And maybe this, you know, this of course shows my age and my era, but this is my Bewitched deck, and I kind of, and I like that attitude. I like the attitude of the females in this deck. So anyway, that's the Vanessa. Okay. All right. So let's put that one over there. And you know what? This is also, I find this is a great comforting deck. You all know this one, right? The Playful Heart Tarot. While it is comforting, it does give deep readings. And I'll just open it. I'll just show you a couple cards, I'm sure. Ooh, I just thought of another category this one might fit in. I'm going to also leave it out. And I would also put my Hezekiah's Tarot in this category of comforting. You know, even the challenging cards are, yeah. I mean, I can't not have a smile on my face when I'm looking at the Playful Heart Tarot. Okay. So that is confronting and comforting. All right. So now we're going to go to best and best Playful Heart Tarot. Sadhana made me do it. Okay. Purchase responsibly. You know, I don't have those little things like Gerald has on his channel, but yeah. Best and worst shuffle. Okay, so this is a really fun category, and I'm actually going to do a best shuffle, test, because I have two decks I wasn't thinking about, and I'm going to do a little test in a second. This is my worst shuffle deck. This is the Textured Tarot. And I have to say the Lumina Tarot is a second. I am just not one for cardboardy cardstock. This one is not exactly tarot shape, So it's a little thicker. But when I do this, so it doesn't bend. And I don't like cardstock. Of course, you can overhand shuffle it. I have at least one bent card, like completely bent in half, because yeah. So my strategy for this kind of deck is to put it in quarters, fourths, and then you can shuffle it in fourths. So that works. But this is my hands down. It's one of the reasons I don't pull it out very often, even though that Queen of Pentacles in this deck is like the best card. Love her so much. Yeah, I can see myself at the pottery wheel, which is something that I wish I eventually one day would have as a pottery studio. Yeah. Okay. So here we're going to go. There's a bunch of them, that I struggle with. Another one that's really, really hard to shuffle that I'm working with right now is the red seeds. So the red seeds, I can't even do the corner shuffle with this one. I have to overhand shuffle. It's an enormous deck. This is the Red Seeds Tarot by Linda Hill. And so let's just grab so this is, right. So that's how much bigger it is than a standard tarot. So it's really hard to shuffle. I feel like a goof when I'm shuffling that deck. All right. So here we're going to go. So hands down, the winner and at least two of the channels have said this is the best shuffle. This is the Marigold Tarot by Amrit. And this one has the most exquisite core cardstock. It's just beautiful. Every single card, this is just such a incredible shuffle. Okay. It's like butter. It's just, you don't miss a card when you are shuffling it. Now, I thought that the Slow Tarot had a very similar cardstock, and this morning when I was getting ready and pulling out decks, I did a little comparison of the Slow with this one, and it's different. So it has to do, so there's a slightly plasticky coating. I'm pretty sure there's a black core. It has to do with the linen finish. It's just this incredible combination. Okay. Now, while the Playful Heart is a little bigger, this one also has a great shuffle. However, right, that's pretty brilliant. That's pretty brilliant. So I'm going to say that is also a great shuffle. I think that there's something about decks with a black core that have there's something that it does to the paper that makes it a good shuffle. Like this one is a way better shuffle than the Lily White. I don't know if you can see, but every single card is but this one isn't as good a shuffle as the Marigold. And if Playful Heart was a standard tarot size, it would be right up there with the Marigold Tarot. So yeah. Okay. So you love the wild unknown, Lydiane. Dee says her wish list is growing. Okay. Don't you love shuffling? I find shuffling, I just love shuffling. It's just such a pleasure. Such a pleasure. Oh my goodness. And I find it comforting. Shuffling a good deck is comforting. And sitting there with a querent, sometimes I'm shuffling while they're talking, and I try not to get lost in my shuffling because sometimes I get distracted and I'm not listening. That's how much I love shuffling. Yeah. Okay. Where are we going from here? Oh, I have to turn my page. All right. I have a few other comments on worst. All right. I don't like US games cardstock. So decks like, the ones that are the size, especially, I just don't like the present US games cardstock. That is no, no, no. I mentioned the red seeds, and also these new decks that I have that I'm working with, the Little Visions decks. They're lousy shufflers. I think it's important when you create a mini deck that you are aware of how it shuffles, because mini decks are great, but they need to be shuffleable. They most certainly do. Okay, so every day. You've seen me reading, right? You know what I read every day. So of course, the Lily White is every day. And there tends to be in my rack over here decks that never leave. And this is also for teaching purposes. I either have the Centennial or I have the CS Tarot. So there's always one of those here. The Wildwood never leaves. The Marielle never leaves. So I have a lot of everyday decks. It's that's kind of there's tons. Because the thing is, because I'm shuffling and reading and teaching every day, not every day, but yeah. So there's a lot of everyday decks around. For what are we doing here? Donna's, what are you highlighting here? .5 ring size. Oh my God, you have tiny, tiny hands. And yes, I have to say that if you want to build your confidence and you don't work with Lenormand, so this is the Piatnik Lenormand, right? Practicing shuffling with Lenormand, yes. But they are really little. Mini Lenormand are not easy to shuffle. Like here's the 1889. Ooh, I'll show you my bags. Deirdre has mailed my bags for my minis. So mini Lenormand are really, for me, very tricky to shuffle. And I find that this is not great cardstock. This is actually lousy cardstock on the 1889. It's very cardboardy. So even if you are making a mini deck, you cannot cheap out on the cardstock. That is for sure. Okay, now this next category, I'm very hesitant. This is overrated and underrated. I have no problem talking about underrated. I'm a little hesitant to talk about overrated. Overrated, yes. While I do have a few, and I suppose that is because there is or was a level of disappointment. And so this is a very popular, sorry about the dog barking outside, Rider-Waite-Smith clone. And a lot of people like this deck for its diversity. This is This Might Hurt Tarot. Okay. But what this deck doesn't do is so all the kings are masculine and all of the queens are feminine. I don't know. And I find some of the poses, I really don't like this devil card at all. And so when people, yeah, I feel like this deck got, I mean, I love that card. There we go again. Give me a pottery card, and I love the deck. It's not that I don't like the deck. I just think it's really not that, it's really not that great. So this I might consider this an overrated deck. Because it's an indie deck, and it's often touted on its, the fancy edges and so forth. To me, the fancy edges don't really matter. Okay. Hi, Clivis. Welcome. Okay. So these are decks by Tarot Collectibles. And I purchased these for their novelty. This is the Christmas one. So this is the winter weight. And while it is fun, you really, this is the borderless version. I don't know. I think it's just kind of kitschy, and yeah, I don't know. I would definitely put this particularly the winter weight into overrated. There are some funky cards here, like the Chariot card. Oh my God, I can't stand the Chariot card. So I would say these are overrated. Unfortunately, I spent, can I say, a shitload of money on these cards, and I purchased all the extra packs, and it was actually embarrassing how much money I spent on these, considering they come in tuck boxes. And anyway, I would say don't waste your money on these decks. Amber. And you know what? I'm very uncomfortable. I am not putting down the creator. I think it's amazing. I've never made a tarot deck, and I'm sure there'll be people out there slamming my tarot deck one day once it comes to market. So yeah, overrated. And you know what? You've heard me mention a few decks that and you'll see them tonight because they're going to be going up for trade. And they're decks that people love, love, love. And of course, one is the Blood Moon, right? Totally overrated in my opinion. Underrated. Okay, so underrated. This is such a cool deck. I never see it on anybody's channel, and I think I should probably spend so way back. I don't know when. I spent quite a bit of time with this, and I did a personal deep dive into the relationship between the seasons. So all of the cards are connected to a season, and then what's going on in the background of the card. And I feel like this deck has there's a lot of great stuff in this deck. This is did I show you? This is a manga tarot. It's a Los Guerrero deck. I have trimmed this. So this is one that I would say is definitely underrated. It does have a lot of six-pack guys on it too, so that might not sit well with some people. I have in the underrated category, you know what? Nobody ever uses this one anymore, and I really like this deck. The Spirit Within Tarot by Stephen Bright. He makes great videos, by the way. And is he the author of the book? Oh my goodness. This is such a great deck. This one's also set in the UK. So if you live in the UK, this is sorted. So this is sorted for class because I use this in class. There's the World card. Tower. Love this Hermit card. It's color coded. So it's one of those few decks where, look at that Empress, isn't she lovely? Where you can count on the color coding. It really does help. So, right, the Emperors with the element of fire, the Four of Wands, element of fire, Eight of Wands. So this is a great, I find this is a great beginner deck, especially, you know, if you're looking for more of a contemporary deck, because a lot of the contemporary decks are so darn busy. Poppy Palin's deck, Everyday Enchantment Tarot, while it's kind of fun, for me, it's way, way too busy. And it's also set in the UK, and I have no problem with it being set in the UK. It's just that it's, yeah. King of Pentacles has a lawnmower. That's what the aces look like. So he's not this. So there's Eight of Pentacles. He doesn't go too far away from Pamela Coleman Smith's intention for the scene, but everything is in silhouette. The suits are obviously color coded, and yeah. So this is a hugely underrated deck in my opinion. Okay. Yeah, and D, there you go. You're supporting a UK deck creator. It's a good thing. He's got a great little book with it as well, too. And the last one in the underrated, this is, I will be, when I get to my, so when the Lenormand series ends on my channel, I will begin a Thoth series. And during that series, I will be pulling in other Thoth-based decks. Thoth. I wish we could come to a consensus on pronunciation. I really should trim this deck. This is the Vision Quest Tarot, which I purchased after I saw it on the altar at my shamanic training. My first walk around the medicine wheel. Yeah, this is a brilliant, brilliant deck. It's just the portrayal of the elements is so beautiful. So beautiful. Completely underrated. I really like the suit of water. So there's Eight of Water, stagnation. Mother of Earth. The pip cards are done so very, very well. It's a beautiful Two of Earth card. Yeah, so those are my underrated decks. Yeah. Underrated. There we go. I've shown you all, I'm sure you all know this trick. So putting these decks away, sometimes it's hard to get the book back in and the cards. So I look in the box and I put one card on the bit that is where the tuck is, and then all the cards just slide in. And then there's even room for the little book. This is a great little white book, by the way. Yeah. So no problem putting that into the tuck box. Oh, you know what? I buggered up. So I was talking about one category and I missed it. So I was talking about everyday decks and I didn't talk about not so often. So every day I was kind of showing you what's going on here. This is probably my favorite every day. And then in the not so often category, but a deck that I would, so there's two that came to mind. One is the Deviant Moon Tarot, which is my every so often deck. I find that there's definitely a reason for the Deviant Moon. And then another one is the Tildwick. I am so enchanted with the Tildwick Tarot. And again, that's another deck eventually I will do a deep dive into. Really amazing deck. I kind of get lost in the rooms of the house and I just absolutely love the metaphor of the house. So, but it's complex and there's so much detail. So it's almost like I find it exhausting. I need to read these decks at the top of the day for sure. Okay, so the final category is light work. The UK potty mouth. I try to avoid I don't have a huge potty mouth. I try to avoid it on YouTube, but sometimes, yes. I love you guys. Okay, I want to go to Janine's comment. What is Janine talking about here? The final bid wasn't that high either. I searched indie deck in eBay every now and again, but the ones I like generally tend to be ridiculous prices. Yes. You know what? I did that. I've done that a couple times and usually I regret it. Usually I regret it. Um, so I am going to try the trading thing. So that is my motivation for the video that's coming up later today, which will be about decks I want to have in hand. The Playful Heart. Okay, thanks, Janine. Decks I want to have in hand because I'm intrigued. And then I'm going to show at the end of the video ones that I'm open to trading. So I'll be having to collect pictures to put up on the screen, right? Hopefully that will happen today. So the last category is light work versus shadow. And I cannot say enough. If you did not join us on the Margaret Peterson deep dive, you missed out on some fantabulous conversations. This is a deck that wants us all to be a better person. And when I think about light work, that's what I think about. The layers of this deck are so beautiful. And I really feel like this is a gift. This is a huge gift to the tarot community. It is not only is it underrated, I want to say it's misunderstood. There's so much beauty and light in this deck. So much. Yeah. Another one that I would put in the light category, light work. And this is the bag, the lovely Om Tarot. So what is this? Yes, there is lots of Hindu mythology here. However, this is another deck that is reaching for greatness. How can I say that? Like if you know the stories of Radha and Krishna, you can understand it that card more deeply. This is such a powerful Seven of Swords cards, and I think that this deck has the Hierophant is Ganesha sitting in a lotus. Look at the Chariot card. I think this is a really interesting Chariot card. So I would put this in the light work category. It truly is beautiful. And if you go to my channel and you hit the search on the channel page, there's a few videos where I have featured this deck. Oh, I just saw another brilliant card. This one. Look at this Nine of Swords. So there she is sitting on the bed, looking into this abyss, this portal, and all of her stuff is just going down, down, down into the portal. So, yeah. Oh my goodness, this is look at this, Eight of Cups. So can you see her? She's over on the right side, walking away. And to me, this looks like, it's an eel. It's a snake in the river. So all the garbage is going away. She's moving towards the waxing moon. Beautiful. Beautiful. There's the Ace of Discs. This is the lovely Om Tarot. It is, I want to say, of all of my, there's not a lot of chakra decks that I actually like. I tend to work with decks that are not touted as chakra decks, yogi decks. Any deck, there's a few of them that are advertised, you know, as kind of yogi decks. I think they're just awful. Some people have asked me about some of them, and it's like, it's really hard to pass comment. And there's one particular deck creator that I don't know what the heck she's doing making decks, because they are when you are doing this kind of work, you had better have studied in an ashram with a guru for years and years. This is not something that can be self-taught. And I feel it's embarrassing that some of these decks exist out there. Okay, there's some of the harshest things that I have said on this channel. Donna tends to agree. Donna says, too many people, here, let me highlight her comment. Too many people make decks when they don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. All right. Now, this is a deck that I have not yet worked with. This is a deck by Robin Cole, who is the creator of the Beautiful Rebellion. And this is in my shadow. This is in the shadow category. I am really looking forward to this. So, to me, what is shadow work? The karmas live, according to yogic teachings, in the second chakra, in the Swadhisthana chakra. And what shadow work is a journey into that experience. I'm just going to get some minors for you here. And this is a great Four of Cups card. What am I saying here? What is shadow work? Shadow work is having the courage to go into your recurring patterns and do something about it. And I feel like this is a deck that I spent a lot of time looking at Robin's choices as she was creating this deck. And I feel like this is a deck that is going to help you do something about your shit. You know, like when I asked Ananda Shakti about, I said to her, is it possible to clear a pattern in a lifetime? And she said basically no. That's not what she said, but basically she said no. But she said you can do a lot of work with it, so that next time or the next time, you know, you clear the pattern. But the whole thing is about having the courage. Look at the Seven of Wands. Having the courage to do something about your patterns, about your yeah. So you can look forward to eventually one day, once I get a handle on this deck. I really think this deck has a huge amount of potential. Now, as far as other decks that I think work really well with this stuff, the Odon Redon deck. So the one that is called what? Lonely Dreamer. I think that is another very, that's a deck that's going to trigger stuff. There's a few of them. And I don't like to use decks that are, can I say too weird? I like it to be, so when we're doing shadow work, it's important that it's not freaky. It's got to be relatable so we can understand what's going on in the cards and then approach the challenge of the situation and begin to not just manage it, but like I said, do something about it, right? So we acknowledge it, we recognize it, we stir it up a little bit, and then we do something about it to transform it. It's a bit of a process, shadow work, and I know this was coined by Jung, and I know there's a lot of people that have different opinions about what shadow work is exactly, but I kind of think that's what I do when I'm working individually with clients. So when I'm working individually with people, generally speaking, they're going to send me, they're going to write me a story. And then I'm going to return the story with certain things highlighted. This is what I'm hearing. And then I will respond either with usually I do it a live stream, a private live stream. And then I offer insights and approaches to managing these things. And generally speaking, people hang out with me for 6 to 10 sessions, and it's not that difficult if you have somebody, help you shine the light and think of some strategies for dealing with it. It's really hard to do it by yourself. So yeah, it's one of my, it's a gift. It's I love, I don't love it because it's hard work and it hurts for people, but um, um, it's my privilege. Let's say that it's my privilege to walk hand in hand with people down this kind of a path and help them through to the other side, and then let go of their hand. Yeah, love it, love it, love it. Okay, so that's it for this week, except maybe tonight. So I will come back on. We'll see. You'll get the notification if you have subscribed. And there we go. So thank you. Have a lovely, lovely evening. And I have 7 days. My birthday is in 7 days, and already starting to receive lovely notices and things like that. And I'm really excited. I know there's a few people that are gathering next weekend. So I'm really happy. Next Friday is my birthday. So that's why I'm telling you, I will not be broadcasting next Friday. I will have a few things earlier in the week, but I won't be here then. So take good care of yourselves. And as far as Friday Tarot Chat, I will see you in 2 weeks. Okay. Namaste, everybody. Much love.